Today we are living in some very difficult times, not only in America, but in the world, especially being faced with a so called pandemic that they've so graciously labeled COVID 19. This pandemic has wreaked all types of havoc, if you will, in the lives of ordinary people who wanted to live ordinary lives, who actually lived some semblance of an ordinary life at one time, but not so anymore. Ever since this occurred around March of this year, 2020, COVID 19 has caused separation of families. It has caused families to be upset, frustrated, angry, and even saddened, depressed, if you will, because we as human beings are social creatures and we are supposed to touch one another, shaking hands, hugging, pushing, playing, sitting alongside one another on a commute to work, on public transit, or in a taxi cab, or in our own vehicles, or sitting on a couch watching a family film together at home, and going to the show and eating out at a restaurant, our favorite restaurant, or wherever. But all of those things have changed because of COVID 19. But let me tell you this as it relates to our health. I want you to know that we can overcome this, and those of us that have a mind to do so, we shall overcome this, as we will any other challenge that arises in our lives. What we can't do, ladies and gentlemen, is give up. That's not an option. If you give up, if we give up, then it's up. It's over. There's not going to be any success. There's not going to be any conquering of any of the trials and the tribulations that we are experiencing and that we are going to experience in the future, and probably more near future than not. So, how do you know what to believe when it comes to your health? Is my question for you today. How do you know what's good for you and what's not good for you? There are all types of medical opinions and evaluations and studies and research and experimentation and so forth, diagnostics, if you will, and then there's a conclusion. But you have one side that tells you if you do this particular thing or follow this certain protocol, you will yield this positive result. But on the flip side of that, you have, like in politics, the other side that says that you won't have good health. You're going to have bad or poor health if you follow that particular protocol. So, who is right? There are some fundamental things about us as human beings that we all share that are the same. They're the same. We all breathe oxygen in order to live. We all need to eat and to drink water and to have some form of activity in order to stay strong, to strengthen our body, our immune system, and so forth, in order to thrive as human beings here on planet Earth. Our answer, your answer, is not too far from that which I just mentioned to you. So, what I'm saying to you is this: we can be deceived, we can be confused and not certain about how to have the most optimum health for ourselves as individuals. But that would sort of go away if we go back to the basics. What I'm trying to say to you is this, ladies and gentlemen: we must stop being lazy. We must stop allowing institutions, corporations, governments to tell us what's right and wrong for our bodies and our health completely. In other words, they shouldn't be the last say so. We should know something about us. Note that I said a moment ago that most of us share something that's the same. The vast majority of us, and all of us actually, share some things that are the same. And I mentioned oxygen, food, and water, and exercise, and so forth. Can we start there? Can we really start there? So the question is, why are there differences of opinions and viewpoints when it comes to health? What's good for us and what's bad? Sometimes, and more so than not, there's money involved. There are companies that's trying to peddle certain products to us as consumers, and they don't want us to know the real truth about the product and how it's going to affect us, especially if it's going to affect us in a negative way, if it's going to be detrimental to our health, short or long term. I really just opened a can of worms. I really just told you part of the answer. Start researching things for yourself and for your family. You see, what we need as human beings to live, to thrive on planet Earth are basic things. We have to have a foundation, a basic foundation. And it's not that we have to have it. We really already have it. We're just not following it. I want to read the scripture to you, if you don't mind. And if you're not religious or the religious type, or if you're not spiritual and don't see yourself as that, it's okay, but just take it for face value and listen to the principles that I'm going to lay out for you just for a moment. You'll find me in the King James Version of the Holy Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 1. I'm starting at verse 27. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. Now you can read the whole chapter at your leisure. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound or to confuse the wise. And God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. And the base things of the world and things which are despised, God has chosen, yea, and things which are not, to bring to nothing things that are. What that simply means, in a nutshell, you're going to love this, is that the answers to all of our problems are simple. Going to say it again. The answer to all of our problems, as it relates to our health, as it relates to our relationships, as it relates to how we interact with other human beings on this planet, and how we take care of even the planet, all of the answers are simple. They're basic. They're foundational. But we struggle with those things because we don't want to follow the basics. We don't want to follow the fundamentals. So we seek all other types of methods and manners to achieve something that seems like it's the right thing, but we want a counterfeit instead. Let me give you an example. It's about process. There are many people who don't want to go through the process or the procedure. They don't want to take the time to build up and to grow up in any particular endeavor in life. They want an instant answer. They want an immediate answer to their issues or their problems, as opposed to going through the process. For example, there are people who want to learn how to drive a car, but they don't want to go to school. They don't want to have driver's instruction. They want to just jump in the car and think that they can just take off and drive, just because they believe they can. Second example, martial arts. There are people who believe that they can get a black belt in martial arts in a couple months, and they're good. They don't believe in the process. They don't believe that they have to be a beginner, an intermediate, uh, an advanced person, and then they achieve black belt down the road after going through the process. They don't believe that. Same thing is true if someone is learning how to become an electrician. They don't want to learn the fundamentals about how electric works, about a negative wire, positive wire, grounding wire, and so forth. They want to just jump right in and do it. That's pretty much human nature. And eating the proper diet is no different. Our health is no different. There's a process, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have an instructional book when we were born on how to take care of ourselves from point A to point B, or from point B to Z even. We're just putting all these pieces together now. A lot of us in our lives, we're finding out that we've been doing a lot of things wrong throughout our lives as it relates to our health. For example, smoking cigarettes. 99.9% of the people who have smoked cigarettes or who are smoking cigarettes know that cigarette smoking is dangerous to your health, our health, but they smoke anyway because there's something that seems to be beneficial psychologically to them at the moment. It's a stress reliever. It's really a habit. It takes my mind off of this particular situation or calms me down, but it's a habit. But that particular habit that makes you feel good for that moment is hurting you long term because you're going to end up with cancer potentially. The same thing is true with alcohol. Oh, I need something to mellow down. I just had a hard day at work. I need something to calm my nerves and so forth. It's an artificial stimulant. I know several people who have passed away because of cirrhosis of the liver. Drinking alcohol. It's not good for you. But you know what? The alcohol beverage industry is not going to stop making beer and wine and vodka and rum and Chardonnay and all of these other things and the coolers. They're not going to stop doing it because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But we, the consumers, must know what these things are doing to us because we need to know what again, brother teacher? The basics. What's the foundation to good health? But we choose the artificial things when God just said in the book of Corinthians that I just read to you, 1 Corinthians 1:27, he said he's taken what? The simple things to confound the wise. Things that have a simple answer to it, we try to make it complicated, and it's really not. So herein lies the rub, my friends. We are biological. And I'm going to leave you after this. And I'll leave you to your own devices or vices after this. We are biological, right? We talk about organic foods when we go to the market. Things that haven't been sprayed with insecticides and pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, Roundup or glyphosate and things like this. Or we want to go to the organic section. Those things that are void of poisons that have been sprayed on them. But we are organic, right? Isn't that why you're eating organic? To prevent or stave off potential disease and or cancer down the road? So we are organic. Shouldn't the things that we put in our bodies be organic as well? Shouldn't the things that we put on our body and the water that we drink be clean and pure as well? If we look out of our window, or if we watch National Geographic television and we watch nature, we see the animals are so free, so happy, so alive in their habitats in nature. They're just blossoming. They're full of life. But we're sitting in nursing homes. We're broken down. We are riddled with disease and all sorts of maladies and so forth. But it's the result of our own ignorance and lack of being proactive about our own lives and our own health. That's it. This is the real answer why we have the health issues that we do today, because we haven't taken charge of us. But we will allow someone else to prescribe surgery, prescribe a pharmaceutical drug for us that's going to damage us even more. I'm not talking about isolated and extreme situations that require emergency surgery and medication. I'm just talking about ordinary people, like many of you and myself. Why do you have acid reflux or heartburn? Why do you have diverticulitis or gout or major headaches, migraines? Why do you have back pains? Why do you have chest pains? Why do you have circulatory problems and respiratory problems? Have you ever looked at the common denominator as being you? Aren't you the cause of your own issues, your own problems? Why do you have poor relationships? Did you play a part in that as well? Or is it convenient just to point the finger across the road at the other individual, the woman or the man, or the mother or the father or the son or the daughter or the aunt or the uncle, the grandparents, and say it was your fault? What part did you play? What part are you playing? Better yet, what part are you playing in your own health, your own well-being? Don't forget what I said earlier. God has taken the simple things and confounded the wise. You see, our issues that we deal with from day to day, our problems that we're faced with day to day, have always had a simple answer. The point is, and the problem really is, it was so simple, we made it hard. Because we would rather have something complicated instead of being simple. That's just really it. So, after you listening to me right now, just now, have you resigned yourself to the same behavior that you have been embarking on forever? Destroying yourself, your relationships, and even your physical health because of your bad or poor choices of diets, exercise, lack thereof? Or has this video possibly changed your heart, your mind? And will you take this as the catalyst now to spring forward and say, hey, 2021 is coming up in a couple months. Tomorrow is even coming up. Or a week from now is coming up. I think I'm going to take a new lease on life, and I'm going to change something about myself. And I'm going to take charge of my own life. And I'm going to be a better version of me than I was yesterday. A better version of me than I was 10 minutes ago or an hour ago. And I'm not going to be found in the same place anymore, because the sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen. You can be the best you that you can possibly be. But the only way to achieve that is to really want to do it. Once you make the decision, you'll put some legs on it and you'll be heading towards your destination. Rightfully so, because you deserve the best. But guess what? You can never have the best without you. I love you. Yahweh loves you. And I hope that you benefited from this video. These words of encouragement to you. And whoever you are, even those of you that every once in a while might give me a thumbs down because of whatever your reasons are, I even love you. I have no animosity towards you whatsoever, because I want you to be a better you. That's our goal. All of us. It's that simple. Take care, one and all, and I will see you in the next video. This is Brother Teacher. Yahweh loves you, and I definitely love you. So long.